Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, the automotive show where we bring you all things automotive. If it's variable ops or fixed ops, I don't really care. I bring in the people that know what they're doing and like to share it with the audience. And I appreciate every week. I have a very loyal bunch of fans that tune in, that support the show. It means the world to me. So thank you. I have a couple of updates before we get started. And the first one is my knee update, double knee replacement update. Health-wise, we're doing great. Tomorrow will be exactly 3 months from the day I had both these titanium babies put in. Guaranteed for 30 years, so chances are I'll be dead before I need knees again. But that's a good thing. That was part of my deciding factor on when to do them. I'm able to go up and down the stairs, no problem. And I think I may have mentioned, no, I wasn't on between that. But on Tuesday, I had this procedure done. It's kind of a wicked procedure where they put you out and they wheel you into the operating room. And while you're in general anesthesia mode, they bend your knees back further than they would bend as if you were alive, awake. In order to get the scarring tissue that's built up broken up. They got me to 130 degrees, which is really cool because what that does is enable me to go downstairs better than before, because you need a certain amount of bend in order to do that. I had some swelling, still have some, which prevented the knees from bending, which is what caused the scar tissue to form. But I tell you, I'm like a new man since the procedure. As they put me on the gurney and they wheel me into the operating room, one of the doctors, this woman doctor, was standing there. I didn't know who she was, but I looked up and I said to her, "Hello, Clarice." And she was old enough to get the reference to Silence of the Lambs. So that was good. After it was done, that afternoon, I was a hurting buckaroo, real bad. But the next day, like a new man, I can get up and down from the seat without having to use my arms, which is huge. I was not able to do that. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, said to me, "Dad, you don't make noise anymore. You used to make a lot of noise when you got up or sat down or did anything that involved the bending of the knees." So that's the update there. On a sad note, my wife's Uncle Lou passed away this afternoon. That leaves only one left, Aunt Mary in New Jersey. So it's a sad day for Uncle Lou. I don't think any of you knew him, so there's really not much I can say about it other than we're very sad that Uncle Lou passed away today. So now, on to the show. I have Shawn and Krystle from A1 Auto Center. And let me tell you something. According to a Cox study, the last one I read, 30% of customers don't go back to the dealer for service, any dealer. And of 100 customers, 18 of them don't go back to their selling dealer. Why? The perceived inconvenience, perceived cost, and quite frankly, how they feel they're going to be treated. And I have to tell you, when I met, is that your cat?
Yes.
He's like Oreo, I love it. When I met these ladies, they blew me away because after I brought my car in for service, I'm going to show you what I received in the mail a short time afterwards. And I'm in this business over 41 years. And in over 41 years, I've not gotten this from anybody. I want to share that with you guys. Dear Paulette and Paul, thank you for coming to us with your yarn bus for the charging system repairs and new starter installation. Please give us a call if we can be of service again. Sincerely, Shawn and Chris. I mean, handwritten note, short time after we were in, it just cemented them in here. And when you go in, seriously, it's like you're going to your family garage. Old school values, old school service in a modern way. They have all the technology today. And that's why we go there and a lot of other people go there. So we're going to hear from Krystle and Shawn. Thank you very much for coming on to the show. You know, I'm a big fan of you guys. and I wanted to share you for the longest time with the audience here, and you kept blowing me off. But we were able to make it work this time. So welcome, welcome. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, both Krystle and Shawn and Krystle. Don't go past 5th grade, because if you go past 5th grade, it takes too long. But your experience in the car business, how you got in, and what motivates you to do what and how you do what you do.
Well, I got involved. My business partner, his background was automotive. Mine was accounting and banking and business. And between the two of us, we opened a 3-bay shop that we rented. And he took care of the repairs. I took care of everything else. Since we've grown and purchased a 6-bay facility, and we have multiple staff to take care of everyone's needs now. And we've just branched out in many different areas. Now we can do more things, that we have the space and the staff to handle more.
Awesome. Krystle, how did you get into the car business?
Honestly, it was an accident. No joke. I was actually on my way down to another place down the road to get 4 tires put on my car, because that was a Christmas gift from my parents. And when I was in there, I knew the people that owned it, and they were like, "Oh, A1's looking for somebody." So I was like, "Ooh, okay." And I thought it was a mechanic job, not for customer service or service writing. So I called. I spoke with Shawn, and she was like, "Oh, no, it's not for a mechanic. It's up front." And I was like, "Okay, well, what kind of experience do you need?" She's like, "I just need somebody that knows customers." And I was like, "All right, I'll be down in a few minutes." Got off the phone with her, went to my parents' house, filled out a resume, made a cover letter, tailored it to what she did, and went down and was just honest and said, "I just want to try." So she let me try, and now it's almost 11 years later.
Wow.
I wanted someone who was good with people, because I can always teach somebody how a car system works if they have an aptitude for computers and for learning. And her background was medical, so she knew the human systems. You can equate the automotive systems to that. So it was a good match. She learned the automotive. Between the two of us, we decided how we wanted the front office to work to facilitate customers being comfortable and feeling at ease when they come in. So that was what that added, was me bringing her on, added that aspect of things too.
You know, it's the technology is one thing, but at the end of it, all of it, you're dealing with people. And if you're good at building relationships and establishing trust, they'll come to you. You can learn all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a couple of comments coming in here. We have Robert Sebastian says, "Hi, y'all. Robert's my buddy, my fixed ops brother from down south." Pat Porras, "Hi, Paul. Glad you're in good health, Bionic Man." Thank you very much. Actually, Pat, a few people refer to me as the Bionic Man. And the doctor said, you know, I always ask, I said, look, I want to be proactive in my care, and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything humanly possible to get my recovery as good as can be, but I don't want to do any damage. I don't want to break anything. And so the therapist said the other day to me, she said, you know what, physical therapist, she said, you know, your knees are literally bionic. And if you smash your car into anything really, really bad, you can break everything except your knees. So don't worry about overdoing.
Whoa.
You're not going to break them. Just keep doing all your exercises the way you're supposed to. Mark Williamson says, "Hello all." And Pat says, "Paul, glad you're in good health, Bionic." Oh, that printed. You know what? Sometimes this platform prints to, oh, I know. One comment was on the Facebook. The other comment was on LinkedIn. That's why. And my buddy Joe Perez with Fixed Ops Pros. We're doing some crazy things in the fixed ops space. Be ready, be on guard, because there's some crazy stuff that we're working on right now. Ty Thompson from Cars on the Move. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for your loss, Paul. Thank you very much, Ty. Appreciate it, man. And Mark Williamson says, "Happy for your progress. Sorry for your loss." Thank you. Joe Clementi, hashtag Coach Joe. He's a trainer guy. And my favorite master tech, now retired, is Ron Usher. He says, "Hi, ladies and Paul. You're doing good, Paul. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. And Steve Cheston comes to us all the way from California. He's in sales and service at a dealership in California. Michael Larkin, the marketing guru. You want to know about bringing your business to the next level on Google? He's your guy, and he's right here in West Hartford, Connecticut. Thanks for being on the show. And my good friend Tully Williams, another one of my Fixed Ops brothers, Fixed Ops director over at the Nilo Group in where is that? Is that California? I know you're on the other side of the country there, but I always forget what state. I think it's California. And Pat says, good evening to all. Paulette, hi, Shawn and Crystal. Hey, you just saw Paulette before the show started because she's in this house right here. All right, so caught up on the comments. So now, it all, years ago, and I don't know if anybody's has seen this before, is in the colonial days, when they were getting ready to print newspaper, before they printed the newspaper, Sacramento, California, for Tully Williams, before they printed the newspaper in mass, they wanted to make sure that all of the letters and punctuation, all that stuff that was put onto the press was properly set up, that there were no misspellings. And so before they went to a mass printing, they had to make something called a first impression. That's where they had everything laid out, they had the paper down, and they pulled the levers, however that thing worked, and they printed that first sheet, known as a first impression, that they would then take a look at to make sure that there were no typographical errors, no punctuation errors, and all that. So that became known as the first impression. And from that, we have the saying to this day, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that impression today starts either on the internet or on the phone. So it starts with something as simple as how you answer the phone. Now, we know the car business, we know the service business. Some of us have been in it for a long time because we're older than dirt, like me, 41 plus years. But simple stuff that we take for granted for being in it a long time, you can't, because that other person on the other end of the phone or the other end of the internet can take offense at how you react to them. So Crystal sent me some great information as to how they conduct their business there. And it starts with the phone. So when somebody calls in, why don't you walk us through, kind of how you approach when somebody calls in?
Well, when you call in, you'll get me or Caroline. And if we're busy, then you'll get Shawn. But we always answer the phone, not all the same way. It really depends on where I'm at in my day, but sometimes it'll be like, A1 Auto Center, how can I help you? Or good morning. It really just depends. And then what I really try to do from the very beginning of the conversation is listen to the customer. I don't really listen about anything going around me, what else I'm doing. I don't look at my computer, and I listen to what they're telling me. What is their concern? Did they just get something happen with their car that made them scared? Are they, in a stressful situation? What's going on, and what can I do to help them? So a lot of the time it's just listening to start with, and then from there, just building your conversation to getting the information that the technicians will need in order to properly diagnose the vehicle. So an example we like to use is like brakes.
Yeah, if someone says, something's wrong with my brakes, we'll say, well, is it making a noise? Is it a grinding noise? Is it a squeaking noise, a squealing noise? Is it first thing in the morning when you first get in the car? Is it after you've been driving for a while? The more information we get, the easier it is for the technician to know where to start with trying to find the issue.
And then basically from there, it's just setting the appointment up. I don't like to give a lot of no's. Like if they say, can I bring my car in today? If I don't have that availability, I'm not going to just say no. I'm going to go, actually, what I do have available is tomorrow. I can do, in the morning, I can do in the afternoon. What would work best for you?
We try to give them a choice.
Yeah.
Do you want morning or afternoon? Do you want a way to drop it off? And we'll say, well, we might not be able to get to it for a couple days, but if you want to drop it off today, if something happens and we have a break or we're waiting for parts, there's a chance we could get it in sooner and get you a diagnosis earlier.
So
So
basically, it's about
discovery. Discovery is key in any business, in any sales business. And let's face it, we're all in sales, right? So if I'm coming to you, you do a lot of work with discovery, because by asking the questions, you can more readily pinpoint what the customer's one concern is, that you made sure you've understood what the concern is, so that you're better able to help them. Because miscommunication is probably one of the biggest things in life that'll do you in.
Mhm.
And you guys spend a lot of time asking all of the right questions to make sure that you understand it. You know, if somebody doesn't understand cars, that's okay, because you can relay it, and you can ask the questions in layman's terms that makes it easy for them to not only understand, but for them to understand that you care enough to spend the time. You're not rushing anybody off the phone.
Right.
You know, they're the priority, and they know that you are working to find out exactly what's wrong with their car and how can you best address that. As long, you know, Jackie B. Cooper, years ago, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He's a front-end sales guy, but he had this saying that stuck with me. I had his cassette tapes back in the day. And Jackie B. Cooper said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And once you get that across to somebody, I mean, it's golden. Now, I have a comment here. I'm not quite sure exactly what this means. Got a lot of stuff here about longitude and latitude, and then some stuff on Brazilian or Portuguese or something. I'm not quite sure. If anybody knows what that means, kindly let me know. Jared Kalfa says, happy Sunday, Jared. Welcome and thank you. Thank you. He's a loyal fan. He's always on here. And Jeff Daniel says, wait a minute, women in service? Yep, absolutely. And they can kill it. And they do. And they do. Ron Usher says, 100%, the more info, the easier it is to fix it. Absolutely. So you don't make people feel bad if they don't understand it, because chances are good they don't understand. And we're all consumers, right? We're kind of all the same that way. So by asking the right questions, you know, they feel comfortable coming to you. I know you guys hit it out of the park for us, so that's why we come to you for our stuff.
Well, and what makes it feel so good is there was a girl a couple weeks ago who was like, came in with an anxiety attack in the middle of trying to explain everything. And she was just back in this last week, and we had a customer who's been a longtime customer in there for an oil change. And I could hear her talking about how happy she was with just the fact that we calmed her down and we talked to her and we gave her the time of day and we didn't make her feel stupid. And she was just so thankful for the time. It's sad that people aren't used to getting real service.
Right. And we were able to, she had a multiple tiered repair. There was several systems that had issues. She needed to get through emissions. There was injector issues, and we had to take it step by step and tackle the stuff that was pressing first. So she had to budget for it, and we had to get it across to her that with this check engine light with multiple codes, there was multiple repairs that would probably need to be done. But we had to start here because it might take care of, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 of the codes. Yeah. And with someone who has underlying anxiety and fear around the whole process, for her to have a pleasant experience, that was really, really rewarding.
Now, before we go any further, I want to play this because this just, it's beautiful. Okay, so some of you might have seen it, some of you not. I posted it, but that doesn't mean that somebody watched it. So I'm going to play it right now. This is beautiful.
Hi, I'm Shawn Douton from A1 Auto Center. We are at 208 Flanders Road, Niantic. Before we opened our repair facility, we were very uncomfortable with the service we received from multiple locations of different repair shops. I always left feeling that I didn't really get a good deal. I wasn't really sure that if I was paying for was something I really needed. And I never even got eye contact from these people. So when we opened, we decided to provide fair service, reasonable prices, with clear explanations every time. We never do a repair unless we've gotten your authorization. We call you, we provide your clear explanation so you know why you have to do what you need to do. We work on anything from race cars, hot rods, new cars, old cars, wheelbarrows, boat trailers, jalopies, you name it, we fix it. If you've heard of a repair, we've probably done it. We would love to have you come down, take a look, see what we do, take a tour of our new facility, see our state-of-the-art equipment, meet our techs, meet our people. We will bring you out, we'll put your car up in the air, we'll show you why you need what you need. We can video things and send you email of that. We'll text you, we will call. However you prefer to be contacted is what we will do. Please come down and see us at A1 Auto Center at 208 Flanders Road. You'll be really glad that you did.
If that alone doesn't make you want to go there, you got to check your pulse, man, because there's something wrong. I love it. Let's see here. All right, we got a couple of comments that came in. Let's see here. Joe Perez says, hey, to Tully. Pat Porras says, 85% attitude, 15% skill equals 100% success. Dale Carnegie. Absolutely. And Robert Allen Carvel says, hello from Atlanta. Robert, welcome. I think this is your first time on the show because you just joined the Fixed Ops Roundtable. So welcome to the Roundtable as well. And Brian Davis, great video, Shawn. I told you, Shawn. I told you you're awesome on video.
Thank you.
And Robert Allen Carvel says, checking it now. So yeah. So now here's the thing. People have these preconceived notions that when they go in, people aren't going to listen to them or they're going to try to sell them a bunch of stuff. But you guys, you tailor the presentation to your customer. All right. So if they come in for an oil change and there's some other problem, you deal with the oil change first before you get into the other problem.
Unless we find something catastrophic that they're not going to want to do an oil change once we tell them about it. So, but yes, we will address whatever they come in for. Say they come in for oil change, tire rotation, and they have a little rattle in the exhaust. We'll address all that. Tell them, oh, we just needed a clamp. You know, everything's set. While we were there, we found this and this and this. And we prioritize it by safety, by things that need to be watched, maintenance to plan for. And we give them estimates in order of their complaint, the safety, and it's prioritized for each customer. Someone that wants to trade their car in, we're not going to give them something that they have to worry about in 10,000 miles.
Yeah, and also too is we also have a lot of people who come in with a vehicle that may be right on the border where you could trade it in and you'd be better off, or you could actually start tackling these one at a time and it would be okay. And a lot of times people cannot, they're upside down in their payment or whatever, and they can't afford to just trade it in. Right. They have to start tackling it. So something we take a lot of pride on is in that prioritization that we do. If it's somebody who, you know, say they need brakes, they need sway bar links, and they need tires. Okay, well, what's the worst of these three things? The tires, okay, they've got 25% tread life. The brakes are dangerous. Obviously, the brakes need to be done. Sway bar links, yes, they're noisy, they're annoying, but are they a safety concern? No. So we will prioritize it. We also try to make sure that they have all their estimates in order, you know, ready to go before they leave the shop. And also, if they're just there for an oil change and say their brakes have, 65% or 35% in the front and 65 in the rear, we try to prepare them for things to come too, so they can prepare mentally that, okay, in 3 months, I need my brakes done, or 2 months, I need it done, or whatever's coming up, they can prepare for.
Right. We don't wait till they're metal to metal and, oh, you have to do it now, by the way, when they just thought they were doing an oil change. We say, oh, hey, you got maybe 25% of the life left on your front brakes. You're going to have to plan for pads and rotors, but you have, 100,000 miles and you have aluminum rotors, or aluminum calipers. They're probably not going to retract because it's been a long time. So plan for that possibility.
You know what's really cool is that in repairs, whether it's the aftermarket shop or the dealership, we have in here, we know what we need to do, and we call it different things. There's different cultures, right? So what you're doing is a prime example of what's referred to in the dealer world as selling the green. All right. In a multi-point inspection, you've got the green, the stuff that's good. You've got the yellow, the stuff that's borderline, that could be recommended based on where they are in the cycle. And then you've got the stuff that's red, which danger, Will Robinson, danger, 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 must be fixed right now, right? So you guys do that beautifully. And what's wonderful with that is that when somebody comes back to you and they need that additional repair, now it's not a $3,000 shock because you've sold the green. You've told them along the way, this is good, but and you're at 65%, you're at 30%, you're at 20%. Listen, the next time you come in, you're probably going to need this. That's huge, huge, huge in the trust factor, because I know that you're not just there to sell me shit for the sake of selling me shit. You're there to take care of me and my car needs and to make sure me and my family are safe, and you give us the options and you let us know what's coming down the road. One of the biggest apprehensions in authorizing any kind of a sale, job, work order, whatever you want to call it, is the fear of the unknown and the fear of being taken advantage of. And you guys do such a beautiful job by prepping everybody every step of the way that it's not a question, you know? Like you call me up and you say, my car needs this, this, and that. I say, when's it going to be ready? Right? When's it going to be ready? Because I don't have the fear that you're going to try to sell me something I don't need. And there are times where you've pointed me in different directions to help us out. So we really appreciate that. So in the dealer world, it's selling the green. In your world, it's letting them know what the condition is. And the beautiful thing too is that you keep an eye on, hey, you know what? This car here, it's not really worth it. And you let them know that. And it's up to the customer to then say, listen, I know it's not really worth it, but I don't have the money or the credit to buy something different. I need to nurse this along. And you're able to then give them what all of their options are. Yeah, sway bar links, not number one in safety, unless they drive like idiots all the time and they're actually broken off. Then maybe that could be deemed as a safety problem.
Yes.
But in most cases, no, it's a rattling noise, it's a squeaking noise. And for some reason, way back when, I still remember the part numbers, KS1014s, KS1016s on the GM cars. It's kind of sad why I remember that stuff, but that's, I guess, what old people do. Ron Usher says communication/trust equals #1 service. There's nothing like it. And Pat says, Shawn, congrats, very professional and connects with all. Yeah, she is the bomb. And Crystal. Steve says, a loaner strategy. There's no loaner strategy, but you do offer local rides and things like that, yes?
We don't offer loaners anymore, more for insurance reasons, and based on what we have available for someone to drive. We only have the 2 dealer plates, so sometimes that's a problem if the car isn't, one of the plates isn't there. But we do, we give people rides to and from if we can, based on how close they are. We do offer drop off and pickup after hours. We have a key drop outside, so if it's 2 a.m. and that's when your husband gets off work and you want to drop the car off and get a ride, you can do it then. We do offer those options. There's Uber locally. There are still some taxi companies, but most people can get a ride. And if they have to wait, we have a bench outside if they're concerned about COVID, and we have a clean area in the front too.
And during COVID too, we did a drop off and pick up if they were within a certain range to try to help them, or people that were, immune compromised or anything like that.
You know what's funny is that you said with a couple of dealer plates, sometimes it's a problem. Let me tell you something. You could have 100 dealer plates and it's still a problem.
Yeah, it would be.
I've worked in enough dealerships that no matter how many plates we had, it was always a problem, because when the customer has that plate, guess what? You're not a priority anymore. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you need your plate, because they've got stuff to do and they're off doing it in your car. So yeah, It's not like a dealership where you're on a large scale and you've committed to, 50, 60 loaner cars. You just can't do that as an independent repair shop. But what you focus on is the important stuff, and the important stuff is the freaking killer customer service. We got Joe Clementi coming in with relationships are far more transactional. Price is only an obstacle in the absence of value. Presenting solutions are far easier to buy. Yeah, absolutely. Because you present all of the different options all along, people feel a lot more comfortable. Just, it's not so much how much is it. Yeah, in some cases it's how much is it. But a lot of times, look, we know cars cost money to maintain. That it's a necessary evil. There's stuff, you ask me how much I pay for gas, I have no clue. I don't do that much driving anymore since I work out of the house. But whatever it is, it is. I need the gas, I have to buy it. Tires, I have to have tires. Brakes, I have to have brakes. So the trust is a lot more important than the price of anything. Right on, Joe Clementi. Steve Apicella, convenience, transparency, and an exceptional experience are the most desired attributes that customers want. No matter what the product or service, they are willing to pay more for it. No smoke screens or gimmicks required. My wife and I were having lunch at Flanders Fish, and we were talking about things taking longer than they should, at different places. And this young lady was telling me she went to a quick place, and she realized and acknowledged that she paid more money, and she was okay with that, and she would do it again because of the convenience. So yeah, Steve, spot on. Convenience, transparency, and exceptional service, definitely most desired attributes because people want to be treated fairly. And Jeff Daniel said, 60% of my advisors are female, my assistant manager is female, our 35-year parts director is female. I have one of the few ASE and brand master female techs in the industry. My express team leader has an automotive degree and is female. It isn't out of the box anymore. It's being smart. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, there's a young lady, she's the parts manager at the Jaguar Land Rover dealership in Norwood, Mass. That was so excited when she saw that you guys were going to be on the show, started a whole thread on LinkedIn. She's so excited that there are great people in the car business and a lot more women in the car business than before. So awesome stuff. Michael Weldon from way across the country. Welcome. Good evening. He says, great topic. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Pat says, Joe Clementi, totally agree with you. Value. The account is women's rights was a mistake. Oh, this is a bad one. This is somebody on YouTube. Not good. We're going to block that user. Hold on a second here. Block user. Okay, that user's gone. My apologies. In social media, sometimes you get people that chime in that really shouldn't be chiming in, and that was an uncalled for. They're gonzo. Gone, but not forgotten. Michael Larkin says, can the ladies place their info in the comments? Yes, I think they can. My best friend living in Niantic is working on the fire department. Do the ladies work on municipal cars and trucks? If not, do you guys do any of that, or is that contract?
I do work on some of the buses, but there is a town garage, so most of the municipal stuff is done there. I don't know if there's any private contracting, but most of the stuff goes through the town garage. We used to do the alignments for the police, but since they built the new place, they don't need us to.
We do a lot of fleet vehicles though in town, and for all of our fleet companies, they get priority service, and we know it's their bread and butter or their transportation that, they need to have that. So they get priority service and they get a little extra TLC.
Well, here's the beauty. Unless Michael's friend is the chief, the fire chief, that guy's driving his own car into Niantic, isn't he? And I don't think the town garage services his car or her car. So I think he might have just found himself a new shop to go to, or she might have found herself. Not sure if male or female. So yeah, so cool stuff. Let's see here. We covered that. Price options. So you look at, I think we covered this, depending on how long they're planning on keeping their car, you prioritize the repairs based on that. If somebody's getting rid of their car, there's obviously no point in doing a repair that's going to make the car last the next 5 years.
Correct.
Ooh, another thing that, and I don't think it happens as much at dealers as it does with independent repair shops, but this whole notion of people bringing their own parts in. Talk to us about that.
Would you like me to
Go
start?
ahead.
Okay, so often customer supplied parts has been a very tricky area for, I think, everybody. With us, the reason we do not like customer supplied parts, which I will explain to anybody that calls and asks, is if it's a hot rod or, something that's performance, that's one
Or
thing.
classic that.
Yeah, or a classic car, totally different. But if it's, an OEM part or a part you just want to go get at your local AutoZone or wherever, a lot of times we don't like it. And the reason we don't like it is because we've had vehicles stuck on the lift almost all day because somebody has said they have the correct part and they don't have it. And now that lift is out of commission all day. And I really don't want to call somebody and say, hey, your car's stuck on my lift. Technically, that's 7 hours I should be getting paid for because it's stuck on my lift because you brought your customer supplied part. So not to have that as an issue anymore, we just don't do it. And not only that, we had a lot of parts coming in that were from online that were like real cheap and knockoffs or not correct. And they were
Right, but made incorrectly, so
Yeah.
they don't fit. They wouldn't bolt on.
cause damage.
Right, and plus there's the whole warranty thing. We have power with that. When we get our parts from our suppliers, if there's a problem, we have recourse. We can get the labor covered also for a good amount of time.
So we like to give you the warranty and the confidence because being in the industry this long, I know where I want my serpentine belts from. I know where I want my water pump from. I know where to get. And let me tell you, not everything comes from one person because that just doesn't work. Not everybody makes the best parts. So I know where I want to go for the certain parts. And that type of just time and education that I have from doing it for so long is worth something to the customer. So I try to use it.
We have relationships with the various parts houses that we use enough that they will go the extra mile for us in a situation if something is wrong. Like we've had problems with a certain level of part, a certain grade of part, and they've bumped it up to say a gold level part or the top of the line level part without charging us any extra money, just to be able to get this done right, because it's no fault of ours and they're the supplier, so they will do that a lot of times because we deal with them so often. And we can't offer.
That's key.
Yeah.
Now, another thing too, where you guys are good is, let's say I come in with my car and, people don't know a lot about cars, many of them, and they think that the only thing you need to do to a car is an oil change. Well, in some cases that might be true, but in most cases it's not. So somebody comes to you, I need an oil change, and they've got 60,000 miles on their car. Walk us through how you approach something like that.
What are you doing?
Go right ahead. You usually are the one that speaks with them.
So actually I had a nice older woman who came in actually last week, and she had a Toyota Camry with 110,000 miles on it. And she goes, so the only thing I've ever done is an oil change on my car. And I said, okay. I said, do you use the correct oil or what do you do? She's like, no, whatever they tell me to put in it, I just put in it. And I'm like, okay. So she's like, I'm not really sure what to do. And her husband had passed away recently and he was the one who did it before this. So that's kind of why she's not really into it. So I had her grab her maintenance book. I went through it with her. I spent maybe like 5-10 minutes sitting with her out in the waiting room, going over with her, the major maintenances that she's missed, the ones that she needs to work on. And we kind of set up a plan of tackling this in the correct order. Like I wanted her sooner rather than later to come in and get a fresh oil change where I know the correct oil is being used so I can get a better look at her car. That's the first step. And then we can do a really good inspection. And we have tablets that do the digital inspections so that afterwards I can show it to her and sit down and go over it with her again. And this is one of the things that I find so important. And I feel in this new generation who's so quick to be quick with everything, this often gets missed is time.
Mhm.
People want time. And I would rather be stuck at work for an extra hour or two or have to start again the next day and give every single person time than rush through it just to get it all done, because that's not creating any impression and that's not doing anybody any good, especially not me.
Right. We can email you an estimate. We can text you everything. We can leave you a voicemail and send you videos of your car all day long. But if you don't speak with us, if you don't get the human connection or, hear a voice that says, oh, wow, I'm really sorry that happened. When would you like to bring it in? These are your options. What do you think? The conversation, you feel more connected. And that's how I think we build trust is they're not just a number. We're not saying next. We want to know who you are. How do you drive your car? Is this something you want to keep? Do you have a ton of kids in college? Do you need special care? What is your situation?
And my average phone call, Paul, like when I knew we were doing this past week, I started timing my average phone call. My average phone call is 10 minutes long.
What's interesting is that cars are built a lot better today than they were built years and years ago. But there's more to your car than just an oil change, right? So I'm a big one for whatever the book says it needs, that's what I want to do, regardless of whatever. I had a car years ago where at 120,000 miles, it was time to change the plugs. Mm-hmm. So the person at the other place said, these are like new. I said, you know what? They have 120,000 miles on them. Yes, I took good care of my car, but that includes replacing everything what needs when it needs. And that includes putting the plugs in. I've never gotten stuck on the road because I always do all of the maintenance that my cars need, always. And then even something as simple as, a tire rotation, a balance and rotation, okay? I do that all the time, and I get stupid mileage out of tires. I've gotten 75,000 miles out of tires that were rated for a whole lot less. One, I drive like an old geezer for the most part because I'm old now. And two, I do the balance and rotation regularly. Mm-hmm. And I've really found that to make a big difference in how long my stuff lasts. So if you want your car to last a long time, you got to take good care of it. That lady that came in with the Camry with 110,000 miles that only did oil changes, she might have shaved a few years off the life of that car just by simply not having done some of the stuff that's been needed to be done along the way. And that's really a shame. So I'm glad that you communicate that to people, because it's not you saying, hey, buy this stuff because I'm selling it to you. No, right. You're taking the time to go through the manufacturer's maintenance manual to share with them what it is that the maker of their car recommends for optimum life, safety, and performance. You're taking the time to do that. I like my primary care physician because this guy, he's a little goofy, but guess what? He doesn't rush me. Right. He answers all my questions. I feel comfortable with that. And you're no different than a primary care physician.
We equate
really
a lot of times to say, at a certain age you get this test done, at a certain age you get another test done, or you have this procedure. And the cars is a lot the same way.
Yeah. Now, Ron Usher wants to know, how have you been dealing with the COVID mess? I mean, we're a year plus into this. I know what you do, but I want you to share with the audience how you guys deal with it.
We purchased a lot of safety equipment. We always did use gloves, and the guys always have safety goggles. We have floor mats, steering wheel covers, gear shift covers. We clean out the insides of the cars when we're done. Clean the keys off. We have, again, the keyless drop off. We can do text to pay, so nobody has to come in the building. Let's see. We have the plexiglass put up. We put a door in that we can shut between the office and the customers. We have
a special machine too that we put in that cleans the air. It cleans the air as well. And we only allowed, for the longest time, we didn't allow anybody in. So what we did is I actually did a pickup and drop off, like little key thing. We had one on the side of the building for when, overnight, but during the day I had one out front. And we took this little scarecrow and called him Corona Man. And we put him out there so that if people wanted to just drop their keys off and they were there for that day, they didn't have to come in the building to drop them off. They can just pop them in the little thing and we would run out and get it so that they didn't even have to do anything. And then for anybody that was, had going through chemo or, had an immune issue or living alone or elderly, we would go pick the car up, bring it back, and then do the work and then bring it back to you and then clean it before we left it. So we had a lot of policies.
We went in with all the masks. We took our logo, found somebody who makes the masks, and we had masks made up and gave those out.
And I'm sure Paul's gonna
put this on. We gave Paul one because he's a frequent flyer.
Love it.
And a little compartment where you can put a filter in it or a paper towel in lieu of a filter.
Oh yeah.
Joe Perez says, are you doing a paper MPI or a digital MPI, multi-point inspection?
I do
How
both.
does that get communicated to the customer?
We do both. The tablets can do video. We text pictures sometimes. We'll send video.
Sometimes I'll just take it from the program that we use. We use Bolton, and I'll take it through that program, and whatever the technician puts on the digital inspection, I will check it, make sure it's edited and everything is spelled correctly and all that fun stuff. And then I'll go through the pictures and circle a couple of things so that the customer knows what we're looking at. So they don't just look at a picture and go, wow, I don't know what that is. And I don't know what it does. And I don't know why I need to replace it. I circle the rotor, circle where the crack is in the rotor and say crack, so they see what they're looking at. And then for a lot of our older customers, they are not really into the digital stuff. They want the old school stuff. So it'll be just as simple as just putting the pictures on the phone or me holding the tablet out in the shop with the technician while the technician talks about everything and goes through it, and then just coming back and sitting with them. So I really just try to tailor it to what the customer's needs are. Some customers want nothing to do with it. They just want to get in, out, see you later. And that's just kind of how it goes.
That's key, because there's no one size fits all approach in customer service when you have such varying degrees of customers that come through your door. You want to know something? There's dealerships that don't do digital inspections today. So you guys are way, way, way in front. I love it.
Well, and a lot of a big misconception is that an independent repair shop and a dealership cannot work together.
Yeah, but that's not true.
And we don't believe in that at all. Shawn and I have really spent a lot of time and a lot of conversations in her office and here at her house about changing that dynamic, because we both need each other. And first of all, we need the dealer has proprietary information that we'll never be able to obtain or have. So if I have a customer that I know whose vehicle needs to go to a dealership for, let's say, I don't know, a power booster, or brake master cylinder, or a special bleeding or whatever, or they have a check engine light on and I need, the throttle body checked or whatever it may be, I want to have a good relationship with that dealership. So rather than call my customer and tell them they have to go to the dealer and irritate them that they've already come to me and now I can't do it, they have to go somewhere else. We offer a service where we're kind of the liaison, where we take it for them. Our technicians, or Caroline, myself, or Shawn, talk to the dealership or the technicians after it's looked at, and we're the middleman. We deal with it. That way the customer's complaint is being addressed properly, because a lot of times you can hand them a paper and say, give this to them, and they still won't give it to the dealer. And then they call you pissed off because nothing got accomplished.
They did what I already paid you for. So this way we cut them out of the equation. We understand the language. The customer doesn't have to explain it again and maybe leave something out or not tell them what we said to tell them. we get a certain amount of time that, you know, is authorized, and that's it. And they call us at that time, and then we go from there. But this way we
that's
can translate
brilliant.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had so many, it's really taken off to a point where I think in the next 5 to 10 years of A1 being open, it's going to be its own thing, because so many people want nothing to do with the dealer. And every time I dread telling people they have to go there, because they just don't want to go. They'll even go, okay, I'll go get it diagnosed. Then I'll call you and tell you what they say. And then I'll see if you can do it and bring it back. And I'm like, no, like that's not the relationship we want to create. So we have like a handful, about 10 different dealerships that we have really good rapport with. We know we can trust them. We know
They'll work with us.
They'll talk to our technician. Our technician can get right on talking about a wiring diagram and say, well, I had this here and I had power here and I lost ground over here. And they can have this conversation, and it's the customer just gets their car back, and it works out so much better.
That's beautiful, because let's face it, we're all in the same business, right?
Yes.
We're in the customer service business, or what Tully says, we're in the repeat and referral business. And by eliminating the chance of miscommunication, which is very, very easy. Look, if I don't understand music and how notes are written, it's very easy for you to tell me, hey, these are the chords that you need to tell the dealer. It's very easy for me to not communicate that properly. And let's face it, it's easier for the dealer to have someone like yourself explain it properly, so that we can make sure that the customer's problem gets addressed, because at the most important part of the entire equation is the customer.
Yes.
Right? And when they see the synergy between the dealership and the repair shop, where we're both working towards helping that customer have a better experience, I mean, that's great. And that, like I said, that helps everybody. We're not setting up an adversarial relationship, and we both benefit from it. Some stuff goes to the dealer, some stuff goes to the repair shop. Everybody wins. Bert Coburn says, what can you offer a new client that they don't already get from our current mechanic? Taking into account that we need to be sold on your garage and are currently happy with our mechanic. If I can answer that before you answer that, or throw my 2 cents in, Bert, let me tell you something. Everybody has a guy or a gal until they find a better one. Okay? Everybody has had the best of everything until they find something better. Now, I've been in the business for 41 plus years. I've been there. I've bled out into parts tanks. I've done the work. I've talked to tens of thousands of customers over the years. Customer service wise, you need to just check them out. And this is a shameless plug. Yes, it is. Because I know how you are and I know how they are. And there's, you know what, like I said, everybody has somebody until they find somebody better. But you guys take it away. That was just my 2 cents.
Well, I mean, we're not trying to be better than anybody or sway people because we want everyone to be happy. It's just, honestly, it comes down to something very simple. It's, for me, 2 things. Number 1 is I treat people the way I want to be treated. And number 2, a long time ago, and I know I've said it a million times to Paul, and Paul loves this quote, but I was told by my dad a long time ago, the wise man walks between the fool and the genius and learns from both. So I try to apply that to every part of my day, whether it's at work, away from work, and just try to give people, know that you can learn from anybody, whether it's above you, below you, and there's always something that somebody has to offer.
But this here nails it before you go any further.
That's Shawn's thing.
So go ahead. Sorry, Shawn, I interrupted you.
Well, and when we opened the shop at first, my partner and I discussed this, and we agreed we wanted people to come back. We didn't want them to feel like they didn't know what we were going to hit them with next. We wanted to never recommend something that wasn't necessary. When we first opened, we had this guy come out and try to sell us this little gadget, this little machine that did transmission flushes, and his way of trying to get us to buy it was, you can get people on this every time. It'll make you so much money. You just tell them this and tell them that. Well, we don't want to do like forced flushes of things that don't need to be flushed out. You don't need to do that all the time. We only want people to get what they need so that when we tell them they need something, they believe it. And, they don't say, oh, they're just trying to shove this off on me because I already bought that.
I love it.
And another thing we do that I don't know what other people do is, yes, you get the postcard from Shawn and Chris, and you also get, our excellent customer service while you're there. But afterwards, it may be 2 weeks, a week, a month, 3 months later, you just get a phone call from me just calling to say, hi, it's Crystal from A1. I'm just calling to follow up on those repairs. How was the brakes we did on your 2014 Nissan truck? How does it feel? Does everything feel good? Because I'll be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, if somebody has a problem with something, they don't call. They don't call and tell me.
The customer won't complain. They
won't say anything. But if I call and do a follow-up, and I pick and choose them very carefully, the ones that I call, and they're not just the big ticket items. A lot of times it'll just be something as simple as an oil change. But I'll call and ask, and I have caught so many little things that
misperceptions.
Yes, that could have made me lose a customer. Like one customer misread his invoice and thought it said that we didn't bleed the brakes or something, but it was just the way he read the work order. So I went through the work order with him, and he saw that the labor was on this side and not that side, and then read through it and figured it out. But something that little where we didn't even do anything wrong, it was something he was reading after the fact. It's a good catch to make sure people are really happy. And if they're not, then I do whatever I have to get them back and fix it. So that's how it goes.
I think those are plenty of reasons right there, my friend. Mark Williamson says successful shops are in the relationship business first, then offer quality repair work second. 1,000%, Mark. Steve Apicella, I have really clear memories of my dad taking our vehicles to the local gas/service station back when they had service bays. We always went to the same person. My dad never questioned the integrity, cost, and need for the repair because he felt he was always treated fairly, especially with the intermittent instances of no charge. Trust and desired experience leads to meaningful loyalty and reoccurring revenue. It's not new thinking. It's not old thinking. It's just common sense. Man, Steve has a way with freaking customer service words like nobody I know. I mean, it is 100% makes sense, and what I love about you guys is that you just do it. You conduct business the way I conducted business the many years and the many shops that I've run. And I can really, really appreciate that. Nathan Williams, who knew that masks could look so good without it being October 31st? I think he likes your mask. Nathan says the customer should always be able to approach someone who knows their stuff. And let's see here. Joe Clementi, present the technician's findings every time without prejudice. Good techs will only recommend items that should be fixed or maintained. And I think Tully puts it best when he says, stuff that you would recommend and or sell to your friends and family. Everybody gets treated the same way that way. Pat says an observation, service needs to be managed as a sales/revenue model, not just an after sales. Absolutely. It is instrumental. Whether you need, I treated everybody the same, whether they needed a $30 repair or a $3,000 repair. Each person felt equally valued, and they came to me for everything because that $19 job was a priority, just like the $1,000 job was, because it's important to them, it's important to me, and I know that's how these ladies and gentlemen at the store conduct their business. Steve said, how-to vids on YouTube. How-to vids on YouTube.
Talking about that. Been discussing doing stuff like that. We want to do some kind of a maybe once a month tutorial, whether it's online or at the garage for new drivers and their parents, and the basics on cars. What does a check engine light mean? What do you do if you need to change a tire? When should you pull over?
How to check your oil.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's great stuff. Jeff Daniel says, and always have the customer manually select decline if they don't want the repair done. They think twice about the no. That is very true. You know, when it's them having to pull the no lever, they kind of, all right, so tell me again why this is important. That is key. Ron Usher says, awesome show, A1 Auto Center with the double thumbs up emojis. Nathan Williams, well, after all, the fortune is in the follow-up. Absolutely. And Pat says, follow-up, a valuable customer journey game changer. Businesses don't practice consistent follow-up, experience a high degree of customer defection. When 30 out of 100 or 82 out of 100 don't go back to their selling dealer to get the services done, many of the time when it is included at no charge, and they would rather pay another shop to do the repair because they feel they're going to get treated better, more honestly, and more conveniently. That's a game changer. That's a game changer that more people should pay attention to. And the reason I wanted to have you guys on is because you do it so well that I figured people would benefit from hearing what you do, how you do it. Because if everybody did what you did the way you do it, life would be a pretty easy place in the repair world.
Well, and I have to say that the only reason why we can offer this amazing customer service is because we have one killer group of techs out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chris is Shawn's business partner, and he is amazing out there, especially with the hot rods and the performance.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Tony, we've got Mike, we've got Ernie. Jason just started with us. We've got a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of
okay.
good guys.
Caroline, who knows her stuff. She's took
Yeah.
automotive in high school for a few years. She's into race cars, and she knows a lot.
And I'll be honest, when Caroline is who allows me to do my job so well.
Yes.
So without her up front, I mean, we can come on here and tell you that it's one person or it's a group of people. It is every single one of us. We work so well as a team, and probably because there's a lot of relations there.
Ernie.
Oh, I said Ernie.
Oh.
Ernie too. But we're like a big family, and we work together. And when something needs to get done, we do whatever it is we can to get it done. And that's goes for the customer, that goes for each other, that goes for the whole place.
It boils down to one word. You know what that one word is?
What?
It's in the dealer world. It is a word that is used most oftenly. It's one that not a lot of people achieve, but it is one that you guys have mastered. And that one word is culture. You have achieved a culture that makes everybody a valued member of the team that takes pride in towing the line for the entire operation, because at the end of it all, it's the customer that benefits. It's that whole customer first mentality that sets it apart from so many others out there. So ladies, I want to thank you guys for spending your Sunday night with us here on Sunday Night Live. You've given invaluable information that I hope a lot of people will take to heart. If you have friends or family in the business that would benefit from this, please, by all means, share this episode, whether it's on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or on many of the various groups on the Facebook. Share it with them, because the better we take care of the customer collectively as a group of automotive professionals, the better everybody is, and we all win. Because let's face it, if somebody has a bad experience with this automotive shop and they go to this one, somehow they think they're the same, and they're not. They're not. But if we can all present the best possible feet forward, then everybody wins. Mark Williamson says, great show, guys, impressive. Nate Williams says, every company needs to develop a good culture. And with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and supporting the show. I wish you a prosperous, safe, and healthy next week. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again.
Bye. what I was trying to.
Still recording. Hold on.